think you're right. All right, here we go. 1.3, multiplying and dividing complex numbers. Just real quick, let's talk about multiplying complex numbers. 3 plus 2i times 4 minus 5i. We have a binomial times a binomial. We have to use the full method. Okay, I know I talked about this yesterday. I'm just hitting it again for the video to make sure that it's on. Binomial times a binomial. Okay, you're going to have to use the full method. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times negative 5i is negative 15i. 2i times 4 is positive 8i. And 2i times negative 5i is negative 10i squared. We said on Monday I squared is equal to what? Negative 1. That's a building block of this chapter of this week. I squared equals negative 1. So if I squared equals negative 1, then the first thing I need to, on this next step, is scratch that out and write positive 10. That gives me 22 minus 7i. I write it in standard form, real number first, imaginary number second, and I'm done. Okay, I know that was a review, but I wanted to hit that for the video. Any questions? Any questions? Eyes up here. Eyes up here. So we have two special cases. The first special case of multiplying is the one that we just did over there, 5 plus 4i, and I write a square right there. I just got done saying it, but I want to say it again for the video. Anytime there's a square outside the parentheses right there, our rule is to scratch it out and write it twice. Write it down twice, then we FOIL it out just like normal. Okay, that's the first special case. The second special case, when we're multiplying, is when it looks like this. We get 5 plus 4i, and then over here we have 5 minus 4i. Okay? There is a special name for this right here. When it's 5 plus 4i, and over here we have 5 minus 4i, and effectively it's the opposite of it, we have a special name for that. It's called the conjugate. Write that down. We don't have a whole lot of vocabulary, but when I tell you something and I say make sure you know that, you need to write it down. You need to make sure, you need to understand what conjugate is. Why? Because it's going to be in the directions. The directions on the test might say state the conjugate. You need to know what that is. Why is the conjugate important? That's a better question. Why is the conjugate important? What's going to happen when I multiply 5 plus 4i and 5 minus 4i?
It's going to be the same thing.
Well, let's work it out and see what happens. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times negative 4i is negative 20i. 4i and 5 make positive 20i, and 4i and negative 4i make negative 16i squared. I squared cancels out, and that makes that 16 positive. These cancel out, and I get 31, 41. So, in the big scheme of things, what happened in this problem? Why is this a special case?
Because the i's cancel out.
All right, so what do we end up with? What do we start out with, and what do we end up with?
We start out with a complex number and then we end up with a real number.
Very good. Write that down. We started out multiplying two complex numbers, right? Two complex numbers that have a special relationship. 5 plus 4i has a special relationship with 5 minus 4i. They are conjugates. That's how you say it. So when I multiply conjugates together, two complex numbers that have that special relationship called conjugates, and I multiply those two conjugates together, then I will always get a real number. Always. I don't use the word always unless it's always true. We always get a real number. Okay? What happens to happen? I mean, Purvis sat there last year. You're going to have to move your desk or shift your seat or put your book on her desk like she's doing, I think. Whatever you got to do in order for you to be able to see. I'm going to move as much as I can, but I don't have a problem with you moving your desk to help you. Okay? All right, let's do another example. Any questions here on the kind of the concept? All right, let's do another. Negative 3 plus 5i. This one always messes people up. What is the conjugate to negative 3 plus 5i?
3 minus negative 3 minus 5i.
Is the first one going to change and say 3 minus 5i, or is it not?
Not.
Well, Watch what happens. Let me just do the FOIL with it like this. First would give me -9. Outside would give me positive 15i. The inside would give me positive 15i, and so on and so on. So what's wrong? It doesn't cancel out. So in order for them to cancel out, in order for us to have that conjugate relationship, that first term has to be the same. The only thing that changes is the middle term, and I would write that in my notes. That's a common mistake on conjugate, is when people see a negative here, they say, ooh, opposite, opposite, and they write positive 3, and it doesn't cancel out. It doesn't cancel out. In order to have the conjugate, the first term's the same, the second term's the same, the middle term is the only one that changes. Okay, nod your head if that makes sense. Okay, good. One other special case that I want to show you or ask you is, what is the conjugate to 4i?
-4.
What is the conjugate to 4i?
-4i.
Because what is this really? What real number is understood to be out here? What real number is out here? 0, right? It's really 0 plus 4i. So if I wanted you to tell me the conjugate, it's 0 minus 4i. So really the conjugate is -4i. And watch what happens when I multiply those. What do I get? 4i times -4i is -16i squared. Those cancel out, and I get positive 16. So 4i and -4i are in fact conjugates. Okay? Questions? Any questions on the multiplication of complex numbers? Okay? All right, let's move on to division. Let's move on to division. Let me erase this. Let's see here. Yeah, let's stop.